In 2024, Guatemala continued to advance towards a more just, resilient, and inclusive development. The United Nations accompanied this journey with an investment of $212.8 million through 190 development initiatives across the country, carried out in partnership with the state, communities, private sector, civil society, and international cooperation. These actions are aligned with the national priorities of the General Government Policy of Guatemala, 2024 to 2028, and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
These results reflect the shared commitment of the 24 UN agencies, funds, programs, and specialized organizations working as one UN to build a future where all people have a voice, rights, and opportunities.
We also work through joint programs, which demonstrate the complementarity and coordination among UN agencies. Guatemala is among the most advanced countries in implementing this efficient modality.
Through the 5 strategic pillars of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, 2020-2025, concrete development initiatives have been articulated to transform people's lives and reduce inequalities for a sustainable and inclusive development.
Economic development. In 2024, the United Nations in Guatemala reaffirmed its commitment to supporting more just, inclusive, and territorially focused economic development. 21 development initiatives were implemented with an investment of $13 million to close gaps in access to production, financing, and to promote decent employment.
Integrated strategies were launched to boost the local economy, strengthen the productive fabric, and expand economic opportunities, especially for young women and small-scale producers.
Support was provided to the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises, financial inclusion with a gender focus, and the connection of producers with sustainable value chains. Community efforts were aligned with those of the private sector and public institutions.
These actions contributed to reducing structural inequalities, promoting decent work, and generating more resilient livelihoods in historically excluded territories.
Strengthening access to credit, technical training, financial innovation, and formal markets lays a solid foundation for a more inclusive economy across all regions.
Social development. In 2024, the United Nations in Guatemala also reinforced its commitment to people. 62 development initiatives were implemented with an investment of $114 million to improve access to quality basic services and dignified living conditions.
The commitment to human dignity was reaffirmed by investing in equitable access to essential services such as health, education, nutrition, and housing.
Through strategies linking public policy, territorial action, and community-based solutions, living conditions were improved for hundreds of thousands of people, particularly in the most vulnerable areas.
By expanding the coverage of basic services, efforts to strengthen the health system, expand social protection, and empower women as key agents of family well-being laid the foundation for a more just, sustainable, and people-centered social development.
When public policies are woven together with the voices and realities of the territories, opportunities flourish. A dignified life for all becomes possible.
Peace, security, and justice. In 2024, the United Nations in Guatemala also reaffirmed its commitment to a more just, secure, and peaceful Guatemala, with 26 development initiatives and an investment of $17 million. Efforts were made to strengthen democracy, access to justice, and violence prevention.
This included a renewed commitment to a more participatory democracy, more accessible institutions, and safer communities.
Through support for the electoral process, enhanced access to justice, and the prevention of all forms of violence, the foundation was laid for a society where everyone can fully exercise their rights.
By integrating youth participation, women's leadership, technological innovation, and civic oversight, The basis for lasting peace and inclusive governance was strengthened.
A just and secure environment is essential for transforming lives and building a Guatemala where all people live with dignity and without fear.
Strong institutions. In 2024, the United Nations in Guatemala also reaffirmed its commitment to building stronger, more inclusive, and effective institutions. 37 development initiatives were carried out with an investment of $27.1 million to address major challenges such as transparency, evidence-based decision-making, and strengthening a human rights-based approach to institutional management.
Institutional performance was enhanced to be more inclusive, transparent, and people-centered.
Through reliable data, technology, and technical assistance, state capacities were consolidated to enable evidence-based decision-making and ensure public management grounded in human rights.
In response to the growing challenges of human mobility and migration, integrated responses were promoted, combining humanitarian assistance, labor integration, migration governance, and citizen participation.
From strengthening national planning to amplifying the voices of women and youth in decision-making spaces, progress was made in building a state that is more fair and more effective for all.
Environment. In 2024, the United Nations in Guatemala also reaffirmed its commitment to environmental protection and community well-being. 44 development initiatives were implemented with an investment of $40.5 million to drive climate action and risk management.
Efforts were intensified to address the climate crisis, protect ecosystems, and strengthen community resilience.
Through territorial planning, binational cooperation, and nature-based solutions, sustainable management of water, soil, and waste was promoted by integrating technical knowledge with community action.
From climate-smart agriculture to early warning systems and the capacity building of local actors, an integrated approach that links adaptation, risk reduction, and environmental governance was consolidated.
Because when we care for the land, we also protect people and their right to a safer, more just, and sustainable future.
These results are made possible through partnerships with state institutions, local governments, international cooperation, the private sector, academia, civil society, and most importantly, the commitment of the people who allow us to work alongside them every day to transform their communities.
On the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, we reaffirm our commitment to work with them and co-create solutions for the challenges of today and tomorrow. As we build a more just, resilient, and inclusive Guatemala, we will ensure that no one is left behind and that we continue to weave opportunities for all.